Little bit of a flex here. I have sold about 1,400 copies on pre-order for a debut. I'm an independent author. Cool stuff.
A lot of repetition. I know that people use a lot of repetition as like a literary device. This is not what we mean.
And the writing does kind of come off as fanficky, as some people in my comments have pointed out already.
The dialogue did not feel natural or authentic. It was mainly used to info dump.
No amount of sprayed edges and band-aids in 4 months is going to be able to fix that.
Fuck, I paid $35 for this. Like, I pre-ordered this. I have a signed copy of this, and how did this happen?
I'm going to be redoing this book.
Let's discuss the Audra Winter Age of Scorpius BookTok drama. How did this independent author create so much backlash on BookTok? As always, I will summarise the key points of this story so far. I'll sprinkle my own opinions in and you can come to your own in the comments. So Audra is very good at marketing. At just 22 years of age, she has over 150,000 followers on TikTok, BookTok specifically, where she is promoting her upcoming release, The Age of Scorpius. This book was being published independently through a publishing company that was her own startup business. She had recruited artists independently who were making all of this concept work to promote the book, and everyone was getting very excited because the story seemed somewhat interesting. It had good sapphic representation, neurodivergent representation, and I think Audra just came across as like a very earnest, genuine person. Where we encounter a problem is that Audra was killing the marketing on this book, but was not distributing any sort of extracts or quotations or anything that would give her audience an inkling to the actual quality of the book. It was lots of content like this where she would list the tropes, she would talk about the story. It was compared a lot to Divergent because it's this faction system where society has been split into 12 groups based off of their zodiac signs, which is a somewhat interesting concept, and people really got behind that because people enjoy horoscopes. But without any access to the actual writing, how were people supposed to know if this thing that they were crowdfunding was actually worth the money? So the book came out, and across the board, people are not happy with it, with complaints ranging from things as simple to grammar and spelling mistakes being quite common, to pacing issues, dialogue issues, character issues, the story just feeling really flat, really repetitious. I have yet to see a creator who has spoken fondly about this book and has not had any issue with it. The last time that I checked Goodreads, this book had an average rating of 2.33, and I think they actually disabled the ability to write reviews for this because it was just getting review bombed to death. Here's one review where we can see a lot of the issues that I talked about earlier. You can really get a sense of the frustration of these people who were sort of promised a book that they thought was going to be the next big thing. It was being touted as like the Gen Z Harry Potter, the next big thing. And it's not the case at all. And here's another review on Goodreads, similar story. Someone who got into Audra's dream, believed in her through TikTok, thought, I can't wait for this book, didn't get what they asked for. And I think this book has had over 5,000 pre-orders, so a lot of people have been affected by this. Because of this outrage, a lot of the people who pre-ordered now want refunds. They're that upset, they want their money back. Do I necessarily think they are entitled to a refund? It's a tricky one. The biggest problem that I have with Audra in this story is that she's so young. She's only 22. I don't say that to be patronising. I'm only 23. But there's clinical evidence to suggest that neither one of us has a fully developed brain, okay? So 22, far too young to be leaning this much into the world of writing. Like, you can practice it, you can hone your craft, take some years to actually develop. But at this point in time, why are you doing the business side of things already? Why are you publishing a book, taking pre-orders, taking people's money, when it's very clear that you're out of your depth? You're not yet ready for this type of attention. Naturally, people will always talk about Cinderella stories. They'll say things like, yeah, but Rebecca Kwong put out The Poppy War when she was only 19. Not everyone is Rebecca Kwong, okay? She is the exception, not the rule. You're only 22. Wait a few years. Write multiple books. Because my thing as well, she's talked about how she's worked on this book for 10 years and that's meant to be like an assurance of quality. She was 12 10 years ago. That's a huge red flag to me. Like, the people who knew that should not have made a pre-order. Why are you spending money on something that was actualized in like a preteen brain? How could you expect that to be good? I can't say that I'm a professional writer myself, so my advice is somewhat limited, but my understanding of the writing process is that you need to kill your darlings. You can't write something that is just like the perfect manifestation of your own imagination, because while that's great for you, people need to read it. Unless everyone who's reading your book is a carbon copy of you, you need to write something that actually has mass market appeal and doesn't just make you happy because it's your own creativity made manifest. It needs to be something that the general populace can say, wow, that's a great book. And I think her problem is she has surrounded herself with yes men, flatterers, people who co-sign and say yes to everything without giving her any real kind of criticism, to the point where she's put out a book that's full of issues. And even now, she's not really addressing the problem because nobody in her orbit is willing to give her that level of honesty. I love how encouraging and supportive BookTok can be. And the fact that this very young creator has such a huge following overnight is testament to that. But sometimes people need to call a spade and just be like, look, you need to go back to the drawing board. You need to work on this, because like comments like this do not help her at all. Like, you're just fanning the flames of something that across the board has been criticised and shown to not be of the best quality. And it doesn't help when Audra presents a lot of pushback. And again, I understand something you write is like a very personal, vulnerable part of yourself. So to see all these people attacking it and saying how bad it is, it's difficult not to take that as a character assassination. But that's also the contract you sign when you put yourself out there like that. So first she apologizes for the ebook, thinking it's just the ebook, but then creators were like, no, the physical copy is exactly the same. Like, we just don't like your story. Like, it's not just the ebook that has problems. So then she proceeded to make like what was essentially an apology video, but it was almost 10 minutes long, and we are not going through all of it.
My entire life flipped upside down. I was in so much shock. We're re-releasing the entire thing. I have taken the feedback and the criticisms that I've received, especially in the past week. I am recruiting a copy editor and a proofreader from my audience. We are offering anybody who has bought any version of the book a free digital copy. We're offering a 50% discount on a $30 book. The price is going up a little bit because we're improving the quality of the book as a whole, not just the writing. We're adding more art and more involvement from a whole creative team.
So you can see from what she said, she set herself a 4-month target to completely overhaul this book, do a second edition, and she's still going to charge people for it, which confuses me, because if she is truly penitent for the first one being such a disaster, then the second edition should be free to those same people. At least that's what I would do. She's saying that like the second one, it costs more because it's a special edition that's better quality and has more illustrations. But that's not what people want. The issue was never the sprayed edge. The issue was the quality of the writing. Like, I just think you need more time, and that's okay. I do somewhat feel for her because social media can be really cruel, and it expects artists to be fully realized and perfect from day dot. It's like our culture has shifted so much that you're not allowed to indulge mediocrity anymore, because then it's like your flop era, your cringe, and everyone will ridicule you for it. So hopefully in a few years' time she can look back on this as like, you know, an era when she wasn't as great as she was now, but she needs to dial it back a bit. I think right now she's treating it too much like a business, when people who are successful authors, it's more about their creative self-expression. We don't need you to be charging people at the moment. Just keep writing and eventually you'll write well. Should the 5,000 plus people who pre-ordered be financially compensated? Probably not. If you're making a conscious decision to consume art, you roll the dice on whether or not that art is good or bad. Like, when I go to the cinema and I walk out of a terrible film, I don't go to the people at the Cineworld booth and say I want my money back because this film was diabolical. Like, that's just not how it works. I feel like that's quite entitled. Overall, I think Audra Winter just needs to listen to the wise words of Jake the dog.
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do the readers deserve a complete refund? Is Audra Winter going to fix this book in just 4 months? Let me know.